Welcome to Which is Best, presented by Code 3 Games. In today's episode, the Leucrotta. Which is better, the legacy version or the new version in Monsters of the Multiverse? DM Aaron here with Sam and Manny. This episode, we are going to talk about the Leucrotta. Sam, take it away.
Of course. So, in Leucrotta, between the Monsters of the Multiverse version and its legacy founded within Volo's Guide to Monsters, there wasn't a lot of changes to this, so I am just going to talk about the massive changes. In the first one coming up in the saves, skills, and that portion of the stat block, the perception that is given in the legacy version is a +3 to perception and a 13 passive. In Monsters of the Multiverse, this has been bumped up to a +5 and to a 15 passive, respectively. I do give this, of course, to Monsters of the Multiverse just because it's a little extra bump. And later on, I think this helps balance some features out that I will get to later. Speaking of features, we then come down to the features itself. We've kept the mimicry, and there has been a restructuring of the stat block itself, for which I am actually in favor of because it helps kind of make it cleaner to what the Leucrotta can do when you can read. At first, the feature Kicking Retreat was just put underneath the features, and it didn't have its own tab for bonus actions, and now in Monsters of the Multiverse, it has its own tab. But Kicking Retreat has basically stayed the same from what it was before. So now going into new features that were added and then also taken away. In the added part, we have in Monsters of the Multiverse, we have the Stench ability, which is a 10 feet AoE that can apply the poison effect to PC characters or have them immune to it once they're exposed to it from the first time from that creature. I think it's a really great AoE effect. The poison ability, and not a lot of people think about it, but being poisoned can be really detrimental, but to an annoying sense rather than like a true life or death, depending on the rolls you're making. But just being poisoned is just a really sucky thing to get for anybody. Just disadvantage on all ability checks is just awful. Leading now into the things that were only in the legacy version and then got dropped, we had something called Rampage ability, where when you drop a PC down to 0 hit points, you get half your movement to run up to another creature just for free. And Keen Smell, which is, of course, advantage on... Wow, I'm losing it. Advantage on perception checks. So those two abilities are really great, but I will get back to those in a moment. The actions are basically the same as well in terms of attack hit bonuses and the damage types. So multi-attack, bite and hooves, etc., those have not changed. Going back to features now, getting rid of those legacy features, the Rampage and the Keen Smell, honestly, at first when I was first reading, I thought, why get rid of those abilities? Just might as well give it more. However, after reading back through it, Keen Smell, the advantage, while it is nice, is kind of leveled out and balanced with that extra +2 given in the regular stat block anyway, to a +5 and a 15 for perception versus the advantage. So it kind of gets made up in that sense. And Rampage, from both a player and a DM's perspective, especially with these creatures, unless they're in a pack, dropping a player character to 0 hit points can be quite difficult. And you're going to need quite a difficult campaign or encounter to really bring someone down. So you have to have a lot of these coming at you. So because of this, getting rid of these two abilities, I think, is fine because, one, Rampage doesn't happen a lot. So you can't really utilize that effect, and plus it's only an extra movement speed that you really get out of it. And then Keen Smell, I think, is made up with that bump to perception mentioned before. So in terms of which one I like best, I am definitely going once again with the Monsters of the Multiverse version. What do you guys think?
All right, I would agree with that. As you were talking about it, I remember as a DM, I don't use Rampage that often. If I can't even remember the last time I did use that ability. But Stench is obviously going to be used against everybody almost every time, and so I like that Stench ability a lot better. The Mimicry is good as well, and I think the balances you talked about make sense. One side note on this, the lore on these, I believe, didn't change either. Is that right?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. I didn't really mention it because a lot of stuff did change, but yeah, the lore it's about the same amount of paragraphs, but it's basically just restructured.
Yeah.
It's the same origins, the same like upbringing with gnolls, and like their creation with gnolls was kind of like side by side, which I think is really cool for like a DM's perspective to have both these creatures together, maybe even as a writing on top. And oh, of course, with mimicry, I love this ability to be able to just like mimic creatures to lead unsuspecting travelers to their doom. It reminds me of the movie Annihilation, like a lot, where this bear was able to mimic the voices of some of the people that had gone missing in the woods to draw people into the woods and then to get eaten. It's a really cool ability and can really make us for some really messed up encounters and some really like some horror based D&D.
And I think at a level 3, so gnolls you're usually fighting around level 2, 3, or 4 anyway.
Yeah.
And so these could be pretty dangerous if you throw these at your players, especially a pack of them. Could be pretty good. So I like these.
Have the gnolls writing these.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Instead of the giant hyenas, which is typical, give them these, and that'll change it up a lot. Manny,
They
what
are
your
technically
thoughts?
hyenas, just really more messed up.
True.
I think Monsters of the Multiverse is definitely the more fun option of this monster to play. Although I might not know what I'm talking about, but Rampage does sound cool, even though you guys were saying it's not cool.
It's definitely cool. It's just the like when you'll actually be able to use it won't come up as frequently.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, they took it away, but if they kept Rampage, that would have been nice. But I'm still gonna side with Monsters of the Multiverse.
Well, let's have our official vote then. So, Monsters of the Multiverse, Legacy. 3, 2, 1. All right, Monsters of the Multiverse it is. Thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks for watching to the end, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.